Hey everybody, what's going on? Emo Tempest here, and back with another very interesting deck profile for you. This one is a throwback to, man, what is this? Opus 10? Yeah. And this is also dedicated to my boy Ian, wherever you are out there playing, if you're still playing cards. If not, buddy, this is the deck I would build for you if you were out here with us. Let's talk about World of Final Fantasy, right? So, for those who don't know, this deck was very strong for a while. Rain was when things started getting a little faster. If you don't know, so the cost required to cast it is reduced by 1 for every WoF character you control, and it can be 0. And then your other WoF forwards gain haste, and then when a WoF forward attacks, deal 4k to something, right? So, yeah, this is kind of like an updated version of that. I wanted to mess around with this for a little bit once I saw that we got new Seraphi and Tama. Back in the day, we were playing the older versions just because they were numbers, even though Seraphi wasn't always the most optimal line for us. But we did it anyway. And so now with these new ones that we got, courtesy of Opus 18, I thought it was a good chance to revisit it. We also have a lot of other interesting stuff that I'll talk about in just a sec. But yeah, so let's get into some numbers real quick. I think we'll start on the backups mostly just because it kind of revolves around this a little bit more. So you have your Shantoto and your Tyro. I have a few cards here that I think can be mixed around in terms of numbers, and we'll get to that. But Shantoto is one of them. So you need triple Tyro, triple Rorik, 2 Girl Who Forgot Her Name, 2 Luce, 1 Lael, Pelennor, and Segwardes. So the main thing here again is you want characters, right? You want WoF characters, and then you have at least 4. Technically, you can have your whole backup line off. If you're if you're able to open up Segwardes, Pelennor, and get the Luce and Rorik, and then the girl, you're set, right? Rain is always going to be 5, and then Hyun here gets her abilities right away. But that's unrealistic and sometimes unnecessary, right? You have your Tyro for extra searchers and color fixing, as well as Lael for a little bit of summon protection, and then your Shantoto for board clears. Now, going into the forwards, we have triple Hyun, triple Lan. I think if we get a new Lan, this whole concept might be elevated, can get, be a little bit better. But this is the one I would choose back in the day, right? So again, if you don't know, this one gets buffs for every WoF character you control. So at 3 or more gets 4k, and then at 5 or more gets an extra 1000 power and brave. So can be swinging at 10k brave for 2 CP if you have enough characters. It also no, it's other than Hyun, by the way. This one is the Hyun, is other than. And then you have the Lan. It says if you control Rain, he gets plus 2k for a strike. And when Lan enters the field, choose a monster. It's also forward until the end turn it gains power and brave. That second ability isn't really, it isn't super helpful back in the day. We used to have a Frit, like a little 2-cost fire forward that would kind of benefit from that. But we do have the 2-headed dragon for this one. So, but yeah, so Lan, and then 2 Adelard. Adelard is one of the newest cards that I think got overlooked a lot, but I loved to play when I put it in my fire decks. And I think a card like this really helps boost the power of an old deck like this. And so he says the damage from ability forwards cannot be reduced, right? So that alone already helps us save up the backup line from having Chu Chaspel, I think. And then for 2 fire, the damage deals to forwards is doubled. So whenever they're swinging from Rain, they're dealing 8k. And then he has just deal 10k to something, right? Which is fine. But again, the main thing is you're going to drop him when you're, going in for big board clears with all your forwards, right? You have the Tama and Seraphi. This is just a little, search engine that kind of not only increases, your Rain reduction here, but also since you have a couple of 2-drops here, Seraphi's also becomes a draw engine for you, and Tama is just that extra added protection for the Rain. So because it's important to keep her out for this whole process, right? Or when you enter battle. So having the Tama up front is just is good for you. And then you have Bosch now. We have Bosch now, right? So not only can we search exactly what we need here, right? We can color fix our backups. We can get the rain when we need it, but you know, he's also helps push this game. We have a few EX bursts in this, I think. Yeah, our count's at 14, so the odds aren't terrible. But obviously we can change numbers around to increase that if we felt like it. But again, search for a fire earth character other than Bosch and add it to your hand. Before we were using triple Gabranth, and it was only to search rain, right? And then we had to rely on our backups to get the other card we needed at once. Now there's a lot more search in this deck, so we have the Bosch, you know, the Seraphy gets us Tama, and we do have an extra Gabranth just in case, mainly for the rain, but also for EX Burst. This is also the one of the one-ofs that you can kind of alternate between. You can kind of just put triple Bosch. Again, I like EX Burst, so you know, it's up to you guys, but it's just a little different now. A fun and interesting card that I thought could also play a part in this deck would be the Zonde. This is a very underlooked card that we've had fun testing here. Yeah, when Zonde enters the field, choose up to the same number of forwards your opponent controls as the characters put into the break zone from during this turn. Deal them 9,000, and then while he's in the break zone, you can, you know, fire water, fire earth, and put put up to 5 backups into the break zone and play Zonde. Oh no, I'm sorry. Put 5 backups into the break zone. That's what I thought. I read that wrong. Play Zonde onto the field. You can only use this ability during your turn, and if Zonde is in the break zone. Now, I know it sounds crazy, right? But at a point where the damage might not be enough, Zonde is very good to close out a game. And so if you're realizing that dealing 4K or 8K in this case is not enough, on the final push of the game, you can just go wipe the board, bring out Zonde, hold the Mist Dragon in hand or whatever, and then, you know, do your thing. And then you could even double the damage with Adelard. I think there's some potential here. He's really just the one of, but again, he's the one of the cards that I feel you could, you know, run multiples of if you felt like, to kind of, you know, you can add another instead of the Gabranth or instead of the Adelard or whatever, you know. And so he's very interesting. If you haven't gotten this ability off before, you should play him a little bit in something just so you can see how cool it is. And Britton Dallas is an old one, but he helps you search the backups. He's also woff, so there's a version of this where you can run Knights. I wasn't too big on it because I don't like the combination. It's not as good as the other versions of Knights. But it was kind of related to this, right? Because you had woff in here too. And then the rain, of course, which is at 3 because mandatory. The summons are simple. We like this combination because you can play Mist and Amat, but you also have access to Brynhildr and Kusith, which kind of just lets you recur very simple things, right? The Brynhildr is a good way to top off and draw when you're dealing 4K to something, and then, you know, the rest is pretty self-explanatory. The two-headed dragon was also a nice addition that this deck could benefit from. We have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Potentially 6 forwards that can swing and benefit from this. He's something you could mess around with too. Leave it at 1 and add a Dejin as well, because the damage can be elevated even more in that case. And so, you know, again, more toolbox cards that we didn't have before that could really make this deck shine for you. Seguarda, and then we already did the backups. So, as far as testing is gone, it's been decent. I'm not going to say this is going to win you every tournament, but this is definitely something fun to mess around with and catch people off guard. There's going to be a lot of what does that card do kind of stuff. Again, this was kind of for a friend of mine that he doesn't play with us anymore because he moved away. But he loved playing woff, and he actually topped along. He was top all the time when he was playing with it. So I wanted to show him that what it can do and how it would play this time around. So yeah. If you guys decide to try this out, let me know. Lastly, again, you can, if I didn't specify it enough or stress it enough, Gabranth, Zonde, Twin Dragon, and Shantoto, you can take up or remove for, you know, your preferences, right? Adelard, I think, needs to stay at 2 because, or you can just bring back the backup again, which I don't like to waste the CP, so I'd like to hold him in my hand instead. And yeah, that's about it. You guys can mess around with some numbers, and if you do decide to play it and give it a test run, let me know how it went. Let me know if you had some success with it and what changes you'd make, obviously. That way we can share them with any other World of Final Fantasy fans out there. So thanks for listening, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the list, and don't forget to drop a like and a sub if you haven't. And yeah, I'll see you next time.